Chapter 18. The word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause thee to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheels. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this potter, saith the Lord? Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel. At what instant I shall speak concerning a nation, and concerning a kingdom, to pluck up, and to pull down, and to destroy it. If that nation against whom I have pronounced turn from their evil, I will repent of the evil that I thought to do unto them. And at what instant I shall speak concerning a nation, and concerning a kingdom, to build and to plant it. If it do evil in my sight, that it obey not my voice, then I will repent of the good wherewith I said I would benefit them. Now therefore go to, speak to the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I frame evil against you, and devise a device against you. Return ye now every one from his evil way, and make your ways and your doings good. And they said, There is no hope, for we will walk after our own devices, and we will every one do the imagination of his evil heart. Therefore thus saith the Lord, Ask ye now among the heathen, who hath heard such things? The Virgin of Israel hath done a very horrible thing. Will a man leave the snow of Lebanon, which cometh from the rock of the field? Or shall the cold flowing waters that come from another place be forsaken? Because my people hath forgotten me, they have burned incense to vanity, and they have caused them to stumble in their ways from the ancient paths, to walk in paths in a way not cast up. To make their land desolate and a perpetual hissing, every one that passeth thereby shall be astonished, and wag his head. I will scatter them as an east wind before the enemy. I will shew them the back and not the face in the day of their calamity. Then shall they come, and then said they, Come and let us devise devices against Jeremiah. For the law shall not perish from the priest, nor counsel from the wise, nor the word from the prophet. Come and let us smite him with the tongue, and let us not give heed to any of his words. Give heed to me, O Lord, and hearken to the voice of them that contend with me. Shall evil be recompensed for good? For they have digged a pit for my soul. Remember that I stood before thee to speak good for them, and to turn away thy wrath from them. Therefore deliver up their children to the famine, and pour out their blood by the force of the sword, and let their wives be bereaved of their children, and be widows, and let their men be put to death. Let their young men be slain by the sword in battle. Let a cry be heard from their houses, when thou shalt bring a troop suddenly upon them, for they have digged a pit to take me, and hid snares for my feet. Yet, Lord, thou knowest all their counsel against me to slay me. Forgive not their iniquity, neither blot out their sin from thy sight, but let them be overthrown before thee. Deal thus with them in the time of thine anger. It talks about Judah being clay in the hands of the potter. And Judah, well, first off, Jeremiah gets word from the Lord, Go down and have a look at the potter. I want to tell you something. So he goes down and he looks. And what the potter does, now if you've never been to see a potter or somebody make pots, they have an apparatus where under at the bottom, about foot level, they have a very heavy wheel. And it is turned. Now in these days, when Jeremiah was around, somebody would move it with their foot so it rotated as fast as possible. And then on the top, at the sort of table level, there was a round platform on which the person would put the clay, and then they would shape it as it spun. And they would put their hand inside to hollow it out, and they would put their hands together to make it take whatever shape they wanted. And as long as the clay will conform to what the potter wants, it's a good pot. But every once in a while you get clay that for some reason is too dry, has something wrong with it, maybe has some sand in it or some kind of hardness or whatever. And no matter how hard the potter tries, that pot will not take a good shape, or it falls or breaks apart or whatever. And what happens is that the potter then throws that clay away because there's nothing he can really do with it. And the same thing was true of Judah. The Lord was the potter. And he'd have the clay, the people, and he'd try to mold them in a way where they were something honorable and useful. And because of things inside them, flaws, in this particular case, choices that they made, they were never punished for anything they were not totally in control of, and choices they had freely made. If they wouldn't take shape, eventually they would be discarded, and that's exactly what happened to Judah. It happened in northern Israel too. Now in verses 17 to 23, Jeremiah is getting kind of excited here. We see the very human Jeremiah, in that he finds out that some of the people have gotten together in a conspiracy to do him some harm. And it's translated here as though they're going to smite him with the tongue. And that's not a correct translation. What the correct translation is, almost there, is smite him on the tongue. And the reason they were going to smite him on the tongue was because he was always talking to them, and they knew that if they harmed his tongue somehow, he wouldn't be able to talk. Now, in the Near East, and even today, if they're going to punish you, what they do is one of two things, and it depends on how evil they are. The first thing is that under penalty of death, they'll get you to stick your tongue out. And then they'll take a heavy piece of leather, like a shoe, and they will smash that thing across your face with your tongue sticking out so hard that it could knock you out. I mean, this is not a gentle smack. This is so hard that it could knock your teeth in. And one of the interesting things that happened is the tongue would sometimes be split, the tongue would bleed, the tongue would swell up, and you might have difficulty even breathing. You might die. But there's another thing, and I think the other thing would probably be what they wanted to do to Jeremiah. And that is, you can smite him on the tongue with a red-hot poker, like branding him. And there are still places in the Middle East where, in order to tell whether or not somebody's lying or not, and I've seen videos of this, where they take two people who are having a disagreement, they can't tell who's telling the truth and who's not, and they take a red-hot poker, and they put it on the tongue of each one of them, and the one whose tongue is burned the worst is the one who was lying, because his mouth was the driest, therefore less water, and he was considered the liar. So, I think that that's probably what they were going to do. In any event, Jeremiah was very concerned for this, and the Lord would see to it, of course, that his prophet was protected. But Jeremiah was concerned. This would not have been a fun experience by a long shot.